Hello, my name is Maitrisingha and welcome to week 2 of the month meditation challenge with the Norwich Buddhist Centre. And so it's week 2, we're hopefully getting into our practice a bit. And I'd like to talk about keeping connected with our commitment to the month of meditation and engaging with the practice. And the main thing I really want to talk about today is I kind of want to put something on the map. I want to talk about the territory that we're in and what happens when we do commit to something, what happens when we try to commit to something. And hopefully it can shed a bit of light on things if you find it difficult to commit to things. So I think it's always worth to just map out the territory a little bit, and then we can see, okay, that happens, or this is happening. So what might be happening is you're very excited to learn to meditate, and you've been doing it for a week or doing your best to practice for a week, and the novelty can kind of wear off a bit, and resistance to practicing meditation can come up. Maybe you found this from the first meditation sit you had, or maybe you're not feeling it, but I think resistance in some form does come up for all meditators. And so the important thing here to note is resistance is a sign, usually a sign, that you're close to something and you could be getting deeper. So I'll say a bit more. And really invite you this week to re-engage with the commitment you've made. It's just for a month. In fact, it's just for 4 weeks, and we've already done a week, so there are only 3 more weeks to go. And there's a great benefit to be made from simply making that decision. A certain clarity, or a great clarity can come, and a confidence can come from that clarity, just from making a decision to do something. And this is particularly good if you're somebody who ums and errs about things. Should I do this? Should I not do that? Or you've got a lot of doubt, or maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I should have done it another month, or I'm a bit busy, or I've signed up. Well, actually, the easy thing, you've committed. You've signed up, so why not just keep it really simple and just stick with that? We can and err our life away if we're not careful. So why not just stick with what you've decided to do and do your best to meditate every day? In fact, like I said, it's only have 3 weeks left. It's not even, all you have to do is think about that day to meditate. Just take it one day at a time. Actually, just take it one breath at a time. Yeah, you breathe in, you breathe out. Everyone can stay with their breath, so at least for one breath. So think of it in really small terms. Don't think of it as some arduous thing. And as we commit, as we continue to try to practice, and it is a practice, we're trying to do it, this is a point where we can build inner strength. Because what often happens when you commit to something very interesting happens, is that our resistance comes up. And if we try to stick with something, very often we come into contact with quite a strong inner conflict. So we want to meditate, we've heard it's good, or for some reason we're inspired by it. We feel it could maybe help us support our lives, or help us to make changes, or find out what we want to do with our lives, or something like that. So, we know meditation's a good idea, but then we sit down to meditate and something happens. Sometimes an immense resistance can come. But this is actually a good sign. It actually means that meditation works. And I like to think of it in these terms, that when we commit to something, when we really want to do something, we really want to grow, 2 things are stirred up deeply within us. One is our inspiration, this desire to grow. It's almost like something in us just says, yes, it can taste freedom, and it just says yes. Something very deep inside us. But at the same time, something else is stirred up deep within us. Something that doesn't want change, that doesn't want to grow, that fears change. So it's like something deep inside us says no, no. So it's important to us to recognise that does happen when we commit to something, even if it's for just a month of meditation. It's likely to happen. You're likely to get a bit of a taste of this sense of inspiration, potential freedom, something new, something maybe you've never experienced before, or a way of being, a way of living that is actually very beautiful. You might get a glimpse of that and feel, gosh, meditation could help me turn towards that and cultivate that in my life. And yet the fear can also arise, and a big no can say, ooh, actually, I would rather just keep things as they are, thanks. So it's worth knowing that it's quite natural to feel resistance when you meditate. A lot of people think, oh, it's not for me, my mind's all over the place, I can't do it, I can't commit. We've all got that going on for us to some degree, but it's the just attempt to stick with that as best as we can that will help bring these changes about. And as I said, all committed meditators experience this, even if they're in quite, if you like, blissful states when they're meditating. There is still something about, on some level, there's a kind of a wanting to just settle with something and not make any changes. That's the no, versus this desire for freedom, this desire to go even deeper than you might be. So it happens for beginners, it happens for seasoned meditators. It's almost a part of meditation. It's this great kind of conflict between, on the one hand, deeply desiring the heart to open, and on the other, just feeling almost kind of paralysed and just not wanting that freedom. It's a bizarre conflict. We want to be happy. Oh, actually, we withdraw from the freedom because it's something unknown to us. So, what can happen when we try to meditate, or during the month, either on the cushion or off the cushion? We might find that a lot of stories start to spin in our mind. Oh, I can't do this. I'm not up to this, or we can find a lot of excuses not to meditate, or we can find a lot of things to distract ourselves by. The internet is a wonderful warren of rabbit holes to disappear into. Not just the internet, we've got screens everywhere. There's so many things that we can find a very good reason to engage ourselves with rather than meditate. So I think it's just important to recognise this will come up perhaps a bit more strongly when we want to commit to something, when we want to change. So recognising that, and recognising that actually maybe what's going on here is fear. And just simply recognising that is often enough for us to free ourselves a little bit from the grip that fear has on us. And because actually underlying all the negative habits that keep us limited in our lives is fear of some kind. And very often just a fear of going into the unknown. A fear of opening the heart. So it's very good to kind of change our relationship to this resistance, because it's not just you, the one meditator, that has an issue with engaging with meditation, but it's kind of part of the human heart does this. Yes, freedom, please. Ooh, no thanks. Kind of, there's that dynamic, that inner conflict happens. And I think we should see that as pointing the way to our freedom. When we come across these things that are difficult, these obstacles or resistance, try to see them as buried treasure. Because very often we can in meditation think, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this, I shouldn't be feeling that, and try to push it away. But it's part of who we are. So try not to make a thing about it, and rather see it as a sign that I could be maybe things could change. Maybe I could turn some habits around. Maybe I could begin to loosen the grip that fear has on me. In whichever way fear manifests for you. So commitment will bring resistance. That's what I'm trying to say. And our old habits will kick in. But remember, you're not alone. You're not alone. You've got some brothers and sisters with you, even if it's just for a month, who are also giving this a good go. And there's something I think quite heroic about this, because the world, well, certainly Buddhism talks in these terms, that the world is driven by our delusion, by our desire to sort of hide away and close up. So many problems, if not all the problems we inflict on ourselves and on one another in the world come from this part of us that says no, and us letting that call all the shots. So we opt for a more narrow, familiar, frightened approach to life. So when we practice meditation, we're not just doing this to help ourselves. The world needs people who are attempting to say yes and attempting to step into something bigger, a bigger mind, a more open heart, a more generous heart, to step into light. So you could see this as something quite heroic. It is something quite heroic that you're doing. So I invite you just to stick with it and join with the other heroes of Norwich and Norfolk, whoever's joining in with this practice, and join in the company of the courageous and keep meditating. And you can do it just one day at a time, just one breath at a time.